Okay, we're going to look at a problem, and then I'll do a think aloud to describe what I'm thinking as I'm trying to solve this problem. So the problem is, Andy spent 3/8 of her money on a baseball glove. Then she spent 1/5 of what was remaining on a movie ticket. Now she has $32. How much money did she start with? So that's the whole problem. So we kind of have an idea of what the problem is about. Now I'm going to go back and read parts of the problem so that we can think a little bit more in detail about how we might approach this problem. So Andy spent 3/8 of her money on a baseball glove. So she's buying a baseball glove, spending some of her money, 3/8 of her money. Then she spent 1/5 of what was remaining on a movie ticket. So she has some remaining money. She's going to spend 1/5 on that on a movie ticket. Now she has $32, so she has some leftover money. So the question, how much money did she start with, is what we're really trying to find out. So since there's so many parts to this and a lot of fractions, I was thinking that drawing a strip diagram might help us understand with a visual representation of what this problem is about. So I'm going to draw a strip. And let's let this strip represent all of Andy's money. So we start off with Andy spent 3/8 of her money on a baseball glove. So I'm going to take all of Andy's money and represent 3/8 of that. So I'm going to divide this into 8 equal parts. I'll do the best that I can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide it in 2 equal parts. And then I'm going to divide each of those parts into equal parts. So now Andy's money is divided into 4 equal parts. And then I know that if I divide each of those 4 equal parts into equal parts, smaller equal parts, I will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 equal parts. So Andy's money is now represented in eighths. So 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and 8/8 for one whole, all of Andy's money. So we know that she spent 3/8 of her money on a baseball glove. So I'm going to start at the end so that it might be easier to keep track. Here's 1/8, 2/8, and 3/8. So this is 3/8 of her money. That's going to go toward the baseball glove. So that's what she spent on the baseball glove. Then the problem tells us she spent 1/5 of what was remaining on a movie ticket. So here's what is remaining. So let's label that. Remaining after buying the baseball glove. So she spent 1/5 of what was remaining on a movie ticket. So here's what's remaining, and we need to find 1/5 of it. So when we look at it, it's kind of works out nicely here. There are 5 equal parts of what's remaining. So that means that each of these parts is 1/5 of what's remaining. So 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, 5/5 of what's remaining. So she spent 1/5 on the movie ticket. That's this part here. And now she has $32. So whatever she has left is $32. Color here. So here's $32. And we need to determine how much money she started with. If you look carefully, there are 4/8 of Andy's total money. So that means this part here is the same amount. So Andy's money, there's $32 here that she spent on the baseball glove and the movie ticket, and the $32 that she has left. So that means that Andy actually started with a total of $32 spent and $32 that she had left. So that means she had $64 to start with.